YouTube. Today we're going to be replacing a points and condenser on this McLean reel mower with a Briggs & Stratton 109cc 2-horse engine. This engine is year 1979, so it will have points and condenser. I think it's any of them after 1982 don't have points and condenser, but this is a 79, so it will. And it doesn't have any spark. When you turn on the engine and turn it over, you can hold the coil, whatever, and you won't get shocked. So I know there's not spark, and I already tested it for spark with the spark plug, no spark. So we're going to be using one of these Briggs & Stratton tune-up kits. These are old. I got this one off eBay. It was 3 of them for $10, so that's a really good deal. They're old stock, so but they should still work. They're still new in package. It comes with the points and condenser kit, spring. All you need to replace the points and condenser, all the stuff you need, the flywheel key and a spark plug. So $333 for this. It's pretty good. And we're gonna be using that to replace the points and condenser on here, and then this should work after that. So first, just remove the shroud. After you do that, just remove this little wire mesh piece. After that's off, you're going to need to take this little piece off here, and you can either do that with a special tool that Briggs & Stratton makes to do that, or you just get yourself a little adjustable wrench, put it here, and bang on it until it comes off. Be careful not to break these little notches though. After that, you're going to need to take off your flywheel, and the way you would do that is, if you don't have a flywheel puller, you would use a pry bar. Find a good solid place to pry on it. Here's good. Sorry, dropped the camera. And pry on it while hitting the shaft with a hammer, and until it comes loose, being careful not to damage anything. Okay, my flywheel came off fairly easy. After that, take out the key if it's still stuck in there, or it might be in the engine shaft. Inspect the flywheel key. This one looks good, so we can reuse this. If it's at all different than it looking, then it should be like this. Replace it, or else your engine won't fire right and won't run right. Next, you're going to need to remove this cover that covers up the points and condenser. Except before you do that, just clean this up, make sure it's really clean. Okay, here's the points and condensers now. Now what you're going to need to do is just inspect it. This one has some corrosion inside, which is not good. That means water got in there, and that's probably why they're not working. They might be rusted. But you're going to need to clean that corrosion off, and while you have it apart, that shouldn't be too hard. So just do that with an air compressor if you have one, or if not, just do it by hand with a rag or something. And let's get to replacing the points and condenser now.
Here's your condenser.
Next, just make note of where everything is on here and how it's positioned. Notice that how the spring is set up, hooks over there and then hooks through 2 holes in here. Just look and make sure you know where everything is. Take a picture with your camera if you need to, and take the spark plug out, so next step will be easier. But rotate your engine a little bit and just make sure these are moving and working right. Mine don't seem to be working, so that's why we're going to replace them. Okay, now you can take this out. Well, take it all out and just set it to the side. Okay, here's the parts we're going to reuse, and then the parts we don't reuse right here. can just put them on the ground. The condenser, if you have a new kit like this, you're going to need to open it up and inspect all your parts, make sure everything's good, make sure the gasket on here is good and not hard and falling apart. It shouldn't be, but just make sure. Try not to touch the contact points, like that contact point and that one on there. Don't get don't get fingerprints or anything on them. And your flywheel key and spring are here too. So they give you this little tool, and this is the tool you'll need to remove that condenser. What you're going to do to remove the condenser is, here's the old condenser, and you take this tool, the two wires are running through the middle, you put it on top, these little slots go over the wires, put it on top, press down on the spring, and then pull out the wire, and it should come out fairly easy. So then put that with the used parts pile, and now you're gonna clean up in there with a rag or whatever, and then you can just replace everything. Now it's pretty clean. It doesn't need to be spotless, just make it so it's fairly clean. You're gonna want to straighten these wires with your pliers just so they go back in easier. Now we can start to replace our points and condenser. Use a clean cloth to make sure all fingerprints are off the surfaces of the points and condenser right on top of here. Just use a rag and clean it off. If it looks like there might be fingerprints on it, which there is on this one, it looks like. Replace it using the tool provided, just how you took it off, except in reverse. Okay, I finally got my condenser in there. It may be hard to get those wires in there right, but just be patient and you'll get it in a little bit. So now we're going to put the other part on. The little spring goes in both holes, like that. Sorry, you can't see that too good. Okay, now when you get them on there, tighten this one up, leave this one loose, and get a feeler gauge that goes to 20 thousandths of an inch, and you're going to adjust it. Then you're going to tighten up this. First, make sure when you rotate this is at its widest open point, and then you can adjust it. Okay, put your 20 thousandths feeler gauge in there, and this one is really loose, so we're going to need to tighten that up. And the way you would tighten it up is just push the condenser up and tighten the screw, and make sure this slides around here fairly easy. It's not too tight, and when it feels like there's enough resistance in there, just tighten it all the way and it should be good. Okay, tighten it up enough so it's tight, really tight, but it's not going to strip the aluminum, and then you should be good. Just reassemble it, put the cover on, flywheel key, washer, and then this little ratcheting piece. Make sure there's some oil in there so this thing works right. Mine I might have to take apart and look at because it's not ratcheting right, but just put it back together, starting with this cap, then the flywheel with the flywheel key. Putting the flywheel on can be a pretty frustrating part too. I can't seem to get it on straight here. Too easy. If anyone knows a trick to doing it, that would be great. I've been spending an hour on it, but I'll get it on, I guess. Okay, after about an hour's work, flywheel's on. And just so you know, the flywheel key should be about a quarter way down there. That makes it go on easiest. Mine was just rusted all over, so it didn't go on too easy. Next, you're going to put this washer back on. Goes right there, like that. And then this little ratcheting piece This one's not working great, so I'm gonna take it apart and oil it up, and see if I can show you that. Okay, this one's not coming apart, but you're gonna wanna put a little bit of light oil in there, not grease, because that'll make the ball bearing stick. Just a little bit of light oil. Try not to do motor oil. WD-40 will probably work. I'll see what I have. Okay, I put a little bit of WD-40 in there. Sorry, I was zoomed in for some reason. And just pour out the excess WD-40, and you should hear it working good now. And now you can reinstall it. I took my magneto off just to make it a little bit easier on putting the flywheel on, but I'll put that back on after. Okay, our ratchet's back on and it works good now. And now we can put our magneto on. Just put it on, screw it in. Don't tighten it all the way until you gap it. You can take a business card or a piece of paper or whatever and put it in the middle of there. Make sure it's not on the magnet part, which on here is the silver part right down there. And then you can tighten it up, or just make sure it's as close to the flywheel as you can get it without it actually touching the flywheel. And if your flywheel's all rusty like this, it doesn't make any difference if the flywheel's like rusty as hell, or if it's not even rusted at all. It doesn't make any difference to the spark as long as it's gapped right. Okay, sorry, the lighting's it's getting dark, but the screen is back on, so now we're going to put the shroud on. Okay, again, sorry about the bad lighting, but got it all back together. Now let's work it back up. Give it a minute or so to let the oil seep back in. Here, I'll pull it into the light so you guys hopefully can see it a little better. It's a little better, I guess. So we'll put a spark plug in. My little connector here broke, so I have to do something about that. Put some starting fluid in and see if it fires. If it fires, we know we did the job right.